But unfortunately, the no-hit bid comes to an end. And the no-hitter is gone here to lead off the ninth.
First hit of the game he's allowed, and it comes with 2 outs here in the top of the ninth inning. Holy cow, he broke it up with 2 outs.
There might not be a worse feeling in sports than watching your favorite baseball team carry a no-hitter into the ninth inning, only to watch it get broken up before the final out is ever recorded. Since the expansion era began in the 1960s, one team has had this happen more than any other franchise in Major League Baseball, and one pitcher on that team lost 4 of them by himself. We're going to get to him. He's the reason this video exists, but first, let's talk about the other times this has happened to the Toronto Blue Jays. For those unfamiliar, a no-hitter is exactly what it sounds like. A pitcher or a combined pitching staff gives up 0 hits in a game. For this video, we're only counting no-hitters and near no-hitters thrown by a single pitcher. This is a feat most Major League pitchers will never experience in their career, even Hall of Famers and Cy Young winners. In the history of the MLB, there have only been 327 no-hitters ever. It's so uncommon you'd likely have to wait multiple years before you saw one live, even if you attended every single game of your favorite team. Within that already tiny number, only 24 have been perfect games. No hits, no walks, nobody reaching base at all. That's just 7% of no-hitters that reach that level of perfection. To give you a sense of how hard a no-hitter is to achieve, Nolan Ryan, one of the most dominant pitchers who ever lived, threw more of them than anybody else in history, and he only threw 7 across a 27-year career. Most pitchers, no matter how good, get 0. It's not a stat that you can build towards. Even great pitchers in great form on a great night usually need a little luck. A ball that should have been dropped but gets caught, or a grounder that finds a glove instead of a gap. This is exactly why losing one in the ninth inning is so brutal. You've already survived 8 innings, and then so close to the finish line, it's over. Now imagine that happening to the same franchise 13 separate times across 4 decades. That's the Toronto Blue Jays. The first time a Blue Jays pitcher flirted with history was in 1982, in the franchise's 6th season. Jim Clancy took the mound on September 28, 1982, in Game 1 of a doubleheader against the Minnesota Twins. Through 8 innings, Clancy hadn't allowed a single hit in what was already his 40th start of the season. Then, leading off the top of the 9th, Twins designated hitter Randy Bush stepped up and singled. Clancy's bid for the first no-hitter in franchise history was over.
I almost cried right there. You know, you go so far in your career or whatever, and even in the game, and then it happens.
Over the next 4 decades, Blue Jays pitchers kept getting close and kept falling short. One name is going to come up more than any other. Dave Stieb had this exact heartbreak happen to him 4 separate times. We're saving his story for later because it deserves its own chapter, but he wasn't alone. Here's everybody else who got within 1 inning of history and didn't quite get there. In 1985, just months before Stieb's own nightmares, Jimmy Key had a no-hitter through 8 innings against Detroit before Tom Brookins finally broke it up to lead off the 9th inning. 10 years later, in 1995, David Cone got within 2 outs against Texas before Benji Gill singled to end the bid. In 1998, in just his 2nd career start, a young Roy Halladay, who would go on to become a franchise legend and a Hall of Famer, had a no-hitter broken up with 2 outs in the 9th on a home run from Detroit's Bobby Higginson. In June of 2007, Dustin McGowan had his bid ended by the Rockies on a home run from Jeff Baker to lead off the 9th. And in 2010, Brandon Morrow got about as close as it gets before Tampa Bay's Evan Longoria singled to end it. After Morrow, it went quiet for a while. In 2024, it didn't just happen again. It happened twice to the same pitcher in the same season. On August 24th, 2024, Bowden Francis took the mound against the Los Angeles Angels. Through 8 innings, he hadn't allowed a hit. He came out for the 9th, needing just 3 more outs for the 2nd no-hitter in Blue Jays history. The first batter in the inning he faced was Taylor Ward. Ward turned on a fastball and drove it out to left field for a home run. The no-hitter and the shutout were gone. Only 3 weeks later, on September 11th, he was right back in the same position. This time the opponent was the New York Mets. Once again, Francis carried a no-hitter into the ninth. Once again, he was 3 outs away, and once again the first batter of the inning was the one to end it. Francisco Lindor led off with a home run, just as Ward had done weeks earlier. 2 starts, 3 weeks apart, both times a no-hitter through 8 complete innings. Both times a leadoff home run in the ninth ended it before Francis could record a single out. Francis's double heartbreak in 2024 wasn't the last chapter either. Less than 2 years later, it happened again. On July 8, 2026, Dylan Cease became the latest Blue Jays pitcher to join that list. No hits through 8 innings, but gone in the ninth. With nobody out in the bottom of the ninth, San Francisco Giants leadoff hitter Elliot Ramos ended the bid with a single to center field. What makes this one a little different is that Cease already knows exactly what the other side of this feels like. In 2024, as a member of the San Diego Padres, he threw a no-hitter of his own against the Washington Nationals. He's one of the rare pitchers who's actually finished the job before, but this time, it just didn't happen for Toronto. Now you would think a team with this many close calls would eventually rack up a handful of no-hitters just by the sheer number of chances alone. Not for Toronto. The Detroit Tigers, the closest team to Toronto with 12 no-hitters broken up in the ninth, has actually thrown 9 no-hitters in. Multiple different pitchers across multiple decades have all finished what they started. Toronto, despite 13 near misses, has completed exactly 1 no-hitter. Dave Stieb, September 2nd, 1990. That's the whole list. So it's not that Toronto doesn't get chances. They get plenty of chances, more than anybody in baseball. They just can't close the deal. Which brings us back to where this video started, because that one no-hitter, the only one this entire franchise has ever produced, it didn't come easily, and it didn't come to just anybody. It came from the same pitcher who'd already failed at this exact thing 4 times. This is Dave Stieb's story. Dave Stieb is one of the greatest pitchers to ever toe the rubber in Toronto. To this day, Stieb leads the Blue Jays in wins, starts, complete game shutouts, strikeouts, and holds the highest career WAR of any player in franchise history. The first time Stieb flirted with a no-hitter came in August of 1985 in his 7th season with the club. No hits through 8 innings, only for the Chicago White Sox to come out swinging in the ninth. Back-to-back home runs from the first 2 batters of the inning, Rudy Law and Brian Little, ended both Stieb's night and his first no-hit bid. Fast forward to September of 1988, and once again Stieb found himself chasing the franchise's first no-hitter. September 24th against Cleveland, Stieb was back on the mound in the 9th inning, still without allowing a hit. This time, he got farther. He recorded the first 2 outs of the inning before Cleveland's second baseman Julio Franco stepped up, and on a 2-2 count, hit it towards Blue Jays second baseman Manny Lee before it took a hop out of the reach of Lee. 1 strike away from the franchise's first no-hitter. Now remember Bowden Francis bringing 2 no-hitters into the 9th inning only 3 weeks apart? Stieb only had to wait 6 days for his next chance. In his very next start, on September 30th, Stieb had the Baltimore Orioles looking for their first hit of the game in the 9th inning. And just like 6 days earlier, he was 1 strike away. Baltimore turned to their bench, sending up pinch hitter Jim Traber. With 2 outs and a 2-2 count, Traber blooped a single into right field, and for the second time in less than a week, Stieb's no-hitter was gone. The last failed attempt came the following season, and this one might be the most heartbreaking of them all. On August 4th, 1989, Stieb took the mound against the New York Yankees. This time, he wasn't just chasing a no-hitter. Through 8 innings, he hadn't allowed a hit, hadn't given up a walk, or allowed a base runner of any kind. Stieb wasn't just chasing a no-hitter, he was chasing perfection. 2 outs into the 9th, 26 batters in a row retired, 1 away from the rarest achievement in the sport, something that's only happened a handful of times in the entire history of baseball. Roberto Kelly stepped up to the plate, and Kelly hit a double. The perfect game was gone, the no-hitter was gone, and in the very next at-bat, Kelly came around to score, costing Stieb the shutout as well. 4 times, 2 different decades, no-hitter broken up by back-to-back home runs, 2 more lost with a single strike to go, and now a perfect game, the hardest feat in the sport, gone with 2 outs on a double. There might not be a crueler way to lose 4 different bids of history other than the way Dave Stieb lost these 4. 1 year later, Dave Stieb was back on the mound. September 2nd, 1990. The opponent, Cleveland, the same team that had broken his heart in 1988. Once again, Stieb took the mound in the 9th inning with a no-hitter still alive. A flyout from pinch hitter Chris James, 1 out. A strikeout from Candy Maldonado, 2 out. A 2-out walk from Alex Cole brought up Jerry Brown. Stieb got Jerry Brown to hit a line drive to right field. Junior Felix camped under it and squeezed it. No-hitter. After 4 different bids, a no-hitter lost on back-to-back home runs, 2 more lost with a single strike to go, and a perfect game taken away with 2 outs left, Dave Stieb finally got the 27th inning.
So what thoughts were going through your mind?
Well, I was thinking about getting it, of course.
The next morning, the front page of the Toronto Star's sports section read a single word: finally. It remains to this day the only no-hitter in Toronto Blue Jays franchise history. Not Halladay, not Morrow, not Francis, not Cease, not any of the other pitchers who came 1 batter short. Just Stieb, one night 36 years ago, after 4 of the cruelest near misses the sport has ever produced. Remember how we started. There might not be a worse feeling than watching your favorite team carry a no-hitter into the 9th, only for it to slip away. For Blue Jays fans, that feeling has a history. 13 times, in fact. 13 bids that all ended the same heartbreaking way, but just once, a pitcher beat the odds. Dave Stieb, after 4 failures of his own, got the 27th out. It's not a curse, just a franchise that keeps getting agonizingly close to something that almost nobody in baseball has ever done. So the next time you see a Blue Jays pitcher walk out for the 9th with a no-hitter still alive, you'll know exactly what's on the line. And you'll know exactly how it's gone almost every time before. And maybe this time, it's different.